When Tyler Brooks' parents left for a weekend trip, he wasn't worried. At 17, he was comfortable being alone. He ordered pizza, played video games, and enjoyed having the house to himself. Around midnight, it started snowing. By 1 a.m., the entire neighborhood was quiet, except for a slow, deliberate tapping on the back sliding door. At first, Tyler ignored it. Maybe branches, maybe ice. But the tapping grew louder, sharper, too rhythmic to be random. He finally looked toward the glass door and froze. A man was standing outside. His face was pressed against the glass, fogging it with every breath. His long hair was wet with melted snow. His clothes looked old, worn, and dirty. He didn't move, didn't blink, just stared. Tyler backed away, grabbed his phone, and dialed 911. When he looked again, the man was gone. The police arrived within 10 minutes. They checked the yard, the garage, the street, nothing. No footprints in the snow except Tyler's own. The officers assured him it was probably a prank or a misperception. Tyler didn't believe that. The tapping had been too real, the stare too deliberate. He locked every window, every door, and went upstairs to his room. He turned on a movie to distract himself. At 3:12 a.m., the tapping returned. But this time, it wasn't downstairs. It was coming from his bedroom window. Tyler's heart stopped. He slowly turned toward the window. On the other side of the glass, higher off the ground than anyone should be able to reach, was the same man. He was smiling. Tyler screamed and ran out of his room. He locked himself in the bathroom and called 911 again. He heard scraping along the siding of the house, like nails dragging across it. When police arrived again, they found footprints this time, but they were strange, barefoot, despite the snow. They trailed around the house, stopped beneath Tyler's window, then vanished. The police never found the man. Tyler never saw him again. But sometimes, late at night, he swears he hears tapping. Slow, rhythmic tapping right behind glass. Emma Carter had lived alone in her small Akron home for 3 quiet years. She loved the routine. Wake up, jog, work, sleep. Everything was predictable, until one cold November night when the basement light refused to stay off. It started when she heard the click. Emma was brushing her teeth when she noticed the faint glow coming from under the basement door. She frowned. She never used the basement at night. She shut the door tightly and turned the switch off. But minutes later, she heard it again. Click. The light was back on. At first, she blamed faulty wiring. It was an old house after all. But when she opened the door and felt the air rush past her, cold, stale, like something exhaling from below, she stepped back. She turned the light off again and went upstairs. At 2:17 a.m., she woke up to footsteps. Not light footsteps, slow, deliberate ones. Boots on concrete, coming from the basement. Emma grabbed her phone and stood frozen at the top of the stairs. The footsteps stopped. Then, click. The light turned on again. She called her neighbor, Mr. Green, a retired police officer. He arrived within minutes and went downstairs with his flashlight. Emma waited at the top, shaking. After a few minutes, he returned. "Emma, nobody's down there, but," he hesitated, "there's something you should see." He led her down the creaking stairs. There, in the far corner of the basement, was something she'd never seen before. A small square cut into the wall, like a sealed crawl space. Dusty, untouched. But the dust around the edges had been disturbed recently. Someone had opened it. Mr. Green suggested she call the police. 2 officers arrived, broke open the crawl space, and shined their lights inside. The smell hit first, damp air mixed with something sour. Then they saw it. A sleeping bag, a half-eaten can of beans, a cracked phone, and footprints, fresh ones, leading toward the backside of the basement wall. Someone had been living in her house. The police searched for hours, eventually finding a narrow exit point behind the furnace, an old ventilation tunnel leading outside. Whoever was living there had escaped just minutes before they arrived. Emma didn't sleep that night. The next morning, she packed her bags and left the house. She planned to sell it, move somewhere new, somewhere bright and busy. But that night, while staying at a hotel, her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Why did you leave the light on? I hate the dark." Melissa Dean had never liked the attic in her Knoxville home. It was one of those narrow, triangular spaces with wooden beams, old insulation, and shadows that seemed to move even when nothing else did. She only used it to store Christmas decorations and things she rarely touched. On a cold December night, she heard the first whisper. It was nearly 1 a.m. when Melissa woke up to a faint creaking sound. She thought it was the house settling, but then she heard it again. Soft, careful footsteps directly above her bedroom. The attic. She grabbed her phone and listened harder. The footsteps were slow, as if someone was trying not to be heard. Melissa felt her skin prickle. She lived alone, no pets, no visitors. She turned on her bedside lamp. The footsteps stopped. Trying to convince herself it was nothing, she kept the light on and eventually drifted back to sleep. But at 3:07 a.m., she heard a whisper, so faint she thought she imagined it. "Melissa." She shot upright, heart pounding. No one knew she hated the attic. No one should know her name in the dark like that. Melissa grabbed a kitchen knife and carefully climbed the attic stairs. The air grew colder with each step. When she reached the top, she pointed her phone flashlight into the darkness. Nothing, no movement, only boxes and old holiday decorations. She checked every corner before going back down. That night, she barely slept. The next evening, she came home from work and immediately noticed something wrong. The attic door was cracked open. She never left it open. She shut it, wedged a chair beneath the knob, and sat in the living room with the TV on, trying to ignore the feeling of being watched. At 11:48 p.m., the whisper returned. Clearer this time, like someone inches from her ear. "I'm still here." The attic door rattled violently. Melissa jumped to her feet. The chair pushed outward slightly, as if someone on the other side was testing her strength. She called the police. 2 officers arrived and checked the attic thoroughly. They found nothing but dust. No signs of forced entry, no footprints, no disturbed boxes. "Old houses make strange noises," one officer said. She didn't argue, but she also didn't sleep. The next day, Melissa bought a motion sensor camera and placed it inside the attic. She set her phone to alert her whenever the camera detected movement. At 2:19 a.m., her phone buzzed. Motion detected. Attic camera, recording in progress. Melissa's hands trembled as she opened the video. At first, nothing moved, just the dark attic. Then, in the far left corner, a figure slowly emerged from behind a dusty box. Pale, thin, too thin. Its head tilted unnaturally, as if bones cracked with every motion. It stepped out fully, and Melissa nearly dropped her phone. It had no eyes, just black, empty hollows. The figure leaned close to the camera and whispered, "Melissa." The video ended abruptly. She ran outside and waited in her car until sunrise. The police watched the footage but couldn't explain it. The figure didn't resemble any person. It moved wrong, its limbs bending the wrong way. They searched the attic again and found nothing. Melissa moved out the next day. 3 weeks later, the new homeowner called her and asked calmly, "Hi, I'm sorry to bother you. Did you ever hear someone walking in the attic at night? Because last night, something whispered my name." Melissa hung up immediately, and she never answered another call from that number again. Sarah Whitman had lived in Portland her whole life. She recently bought a small coastal house just outside the city. Quiet, peaceful, surrounded by pines. Her favorite part was the old wooden porch swing that came with the house. It squeaked when it moved, but she loved it. Until the night it started swinging on its own. It happened during a heavy November storm. Rain hammered the windows and wind shook the house. Around midnight, Sarah heard the porch swing creaking. Back and forth, back and forth. Slow and steady. Too steady for the wind to be blowing it. She peeked through the curtains. A woman was sitting on the swing. Her long hair blew in the wind, but her body stayed perfectly still. She wore what looked like an old-fashioned nightgown, white, soaked with rain. Her head was tilted slightly downward, her face hidden by hair. Sarah stumbled backward, heart racing. She lived in the middle of nowhere, no neighbors close by, no one should be on her property. Lightning flashed. In that split second, the woman's head snapped up. Her face was pale, her eyes sunken black, her mouth unnaturally wide, as if stretched by invisible hands. Sarah screamed and ran upstairs, locking herself in the bedroom. The swing creaked louder, faster. A thud hit the front door, then another, then scratching. Sarah called 911, but the storm had knocked out the signal. She could only listen as the scratching grew harder, more aggressive, like nails dragging across wood. Finally, everything went silent. Sarah didn't move the rest of the night. At dawn, she slowly came downstairs. She peeked outside. The porch swing was perfectly still. But muddy footprints led from the swing to her front door, and then around the house, circling it again and again until the prints faded into the trees. The police found nothing, no signs of forced entry, no nearby residents matching the woman's description. That night, Sarah tried to convince herself it was a hallucination caused by fear and darkness. But at 12:03 a.m., she heard it again. Creak, creak, creak. The swing. This time, she didn't look outside. She grabbed her car keys, sprinted out the back, and drove to a hotel. 2 days later, she returned with her brother. The swing was still. Everything looked normal. But when she checked her porch security camera, her blood ran cold. At exactly 12:03 a.m. each night, the swing moved. Slowly, rhythmically, as if someone invisible was sitting there. And on the third night's recording, the camera captured something else. Just a frame, just a shape, but unmistakably a woman's pale hand resting on the chain of the swing. Sarah sold the house within a month. But the buyer? He removed the swing and threw it away. 2 weeks later, he called Sarah in a panic. "There's a swing outside my house now. It wasn't there yesterday. And last night, I swear I saw someone sitting in it." Sarah changed her number the same day. Don't forget to subscribe for more scary stories. Thank you for watching.